All right, this is Jakar. This is Nightmare with Twisted Nightmare Gaming, and we have Conan here. He's gonna profile the first Pokemon deck profile that we've ever done on the channel. So I'm gonna stop talking and let him take it away.
All right, so this is a spiritual successor of Aaron Rucker's Metagross Solgaleo list. I like this list better because it has more options and there's less stress on your rare candies. So we start with 4 Beldum. 4 Beldum is essentially here just to make sure that you can hit as many Metagross as you can, and you can hit as many Beldum as you can. You just want to see as many as you can in most matchups. There's only very few matchups where you don't want to put a lot of Metagross. We run 2 Metang. I'll explain why we run the Metang later on, but I understand some people run 3, some people run 1, some people run none. Run 2, just because of another card I'm going to show you later on. Run 4 Metagross GX for the Geotech system ability and for the infinite cycle. For any Pokemon players, you guys know that you can infinitely cycle between these guys. They have 250 HP, which is massively tanky, and they can infinitely cycle 150 damage while maintaining the 250 HP. So this is incredibly important. Play 1 copy of the baby Metagross, and the reason why I play the baby Metagross is for Shrine decks and for the extend ability, which doesn't end your turn when you play Steven's Resolve. So against Shrine decks, if you have a Delmise down, which is another 1 copy Pokemon I run, his Meteor Mash can do 130, which knocks out everything in nearly every Shrine deck. So Shrine decks, we've got him handled. On top of that, he's non-EX, non-GX, so he's not normally burning down like a Shrine deck would typically do. Now, going back to the 2 Metang choice, I actually run 1 Alolan Vulpix. With the Beacon attack, I can actually get to these Metangs and then get to the Metagross without using a rare candy, which kind of relieves the rare candy stress to some point. We run 2 copies of Tapu Lele because getting draw supporters out of the deck is incredibly important. And more than that, actually run 2 copies of Steven's Resolve, as we'll get to later on, which these guys are going to search really nicely. And also, just because it's standard to search for a Guzma at late game to try to close. Now, the spicy part about this deck is, unlike Aaron Rucker's list with the Solgaleo, we are running 2 Ultra Necrozma GX. The idea here is that you can hit higher numbers than the Solgaleo, so you can handle the wishy-washy matchups, and you can easily handle a Zoroark matchup with the Ultra Necrozma. On top of that, the Dragon typing's not exactly a bad thing, so a lot of the counters people run for Rayquaza don't work for Ultra Necrozma, which is fantastic because that extra 10 HP he has over Rayquaza. So this is actually really hard to counter. The Sylveon decks that were revealed in Germany actually do pose a problem for this Ultra Necrozma, but Metagross one-shots the Sylveon, and because all the energy comes back to the active, the Sylveon has no way to lock your deck. So it's actually wonderful because Ultra Necrozma's biggest weakness is Metagross's biggest strength. So they counter each other out quite nicely. Now, to make sure that we can actually consistently get to as many Metagross as possible, we have a draw supporter line that promotes consistency. We run 1 Hala. After you use the Algorithm GX attack to go get any 5 cards, this will most likely be one of the cards because it allows you to shuffle your deck and draw 4, but if you've used your GX attack, this Algorithm, you actually draw 7 instead, which is massive. We run 4 Lily because we're trying to hit a first turn Lily without using Tapu Lele. And also kind of going into the late game, or in the mid game rather, if you have Rare Candy or Metagross in your hand and you just need the other piece to get the Metagross down, Lily will let you straight draw so you don't have to shuffle that piece back into the deck. Run 4 Cynthias, just to see them as often as possible. Is the best draw supporter in the game right now, so definitely got to run a very high count with that. We run 2 Steven's Resolve, go search for any 3 cards in your deck. I mean, it complements Algorithm quite nicely. It puts more stress on your opponent's judge plays. If they're going to judge you to try to ruin the Algorithm, then they can't judge the Steven's Resolve, or they're less likely to. If they judge the Steven's Resolve, then I have another one. If they judge all 3 of those somehow, they have to judge the Alolan Vulpix. There's way too many direct search cards in this deck for them to judge all the way out of it. So the Steven's Resolve at 2 is probably one of the most influential parts of this deck. We run 3 Guzma. I play test it with 4 and just found I get clogged and I end up discarding them anyway, so 3 is a nice number. When you run less with this deck, your Ultra Necrozma can't pop off as easy, even when you Algorithm search your Guzma, and normally you don't really want to Algorithm search your Guzma. So, on the consistency of getting Metagross out, we run 4 Rare Candy. There's a lot of stress on this card in the deck because it needs to come with the Metagross or with some way to get to Metagross. So normally these are just directly searched out of the deck. We're not actually trying to hit them, but because I'm running 5 Metagross and only 4 Rare Candy, we have to have some way to get to that 5th Metagross if we do need it. And 4 Rare Candies are going to get us there. 4 Ultra Ball allows us to search for any Pokemon in the deck. This is fantastic. We can go get the Ultra Necrozma. We can go get the Metagross if we already have the Rare Candy, and at the expense of only discarding 2 cards, This deck actually has no problem discarding cards, and as I go through the list, you'll see why. We play 4 Nest Ball to get these Beldams out as quickly as possible. They also search for the Ultra Necrozma, which is amazing. Just trying to slam as many Pokemon on the field as possible. Set up 5-6 threats for your opponent and just tell them, hey, which one do you plan to deal with? 2 Rescue Stretcher. Why don't we mind discarding things? Because if we discard things, Rescue Stretcher will bring back the Pokemon we discard. Fantastic. We run 2 because we don't want to, if we prize 1, we still want to have access to 1. For Shrine decks, we also run 3 Max Potion. It also comes into the tank idea. When Metagross does get whacked for like 100 damage or something, maybe even 200 damage, he can retreat for 3 energy, which is exactly how much he attacks with, so he goes back to the bench. You've discarded all your energy off of him. Well, now Max Potion's perfect. He heals back to full HP and discards all his energy, but since you discarded it to retreat, it really doesn't cost anything. And on top of that, the Geotech System ability on Metagross will allow you to immediately recharge another attacker. So this Max Potion is actually an amazing, amazing, amazing tech card in this deck. We play 2 Metal Frying Pans because in Florida people are starting to run fire-type decks, which completely wreck Metagross, and I hate those people. So now they're going to have to deal with me no longer having the fire weakness and taking 30 reduced damage. Good for them. We have 2 Choice Bands. The Choice Bands are here for Rayquaza. Solitarily, I would run 0 Choice Band if Rayquaza didn't exist. Dead honest. Like, Rayquaza exists, Giga Hammer does 150 damage, Choice Band makes it to 180, now we knock out Rayquaza. Everyone's happy. It's also good for Buzzwole. Buzzwole's recently had a resurgence, the Buzzwole GX from last rotation that was the best card in the format. It's had a recent resurgence. This card, along with the Delmise buffing up, allows you to do 40 extra damage on your Metal Pokemon, which allows your Giga Hammer to do 190, which is a knockout on Buzzwole. So it all comes into getting the right numbers to make sure you're one-shotting. So while you're one-shotting, your opponent's two-shotting, but you have Max Potion, so maybe they're 3, maybe they're 4-shotting. It's really hard for them to get prize cards. It's really easy for you to get prize cards. Around my local shop, I'm known for running no energy. And the reason why is because I do things like this. I'm running 4 Psychic Energy and 4 Metal Energy, and that's it. That's all the energy this deck needs. Reason why. Okay, let's say we prize one of each one of these energies. Okay? Worst case scenario, we prize maybe another one, so maybe one of these 2. Right? Well, this is all you need to do a Giga Hammer attack. Okay? And this is all you need to do a Photon Geyser for 180 damage. With a Choice Band, that's 210 damage, enough to take out Zoroark. If you have another Psychic Energy, you're now at 260 damage. Nothing lives through that. So, honestly, we have all these 4 extra energies at this deck's maximum needed damage. We still have 4 extra energies. So we don't really need to have a whole lot of energy to fuel the strategy. Another reason why I run such high counts of energy, though, is for the Ultra Ball. When I use the Ultra Ball to discard 2 cards, I'm trying to discard the energy so I can Geotech it back onto a Pokemon later on. So again, the Ultra Ball, not a problem in the list whatsoever. Your ideal turn 1 with this deck would probably be to get a non-Leylaid Lily out and then just set up as much Beldam as possible. If you can't do that and you need to go search for a draw supporter, I would search for Steven's Resolve and just immediately try to slam 1 Metagross on the field and then algorithm your way through the game. Late game, just rotate your Pokemon a lot, Max Potion as much as possible, try to blow things up with Ultra Necrozma. My biggest tip for the deck is don't put Ultra Necrozma down unless you plan to kill something at that exact moment, because it's got a meek 190 HP compared to the 250 HP that Metagross rocks, and it is much more easily knocked out. And try to avoid benching Tapu Leles as much as possible. 170 HP does not vibe well with tank deck. So we just run them in case we do need that support search. So,
alright. Any other words on why you chose to run this deck or anything like that, man?
I love Metal Pokemon. I love Metal Pokemon, and this is probably one of the best ones. There's only 2 other Metal Pokemon right now I really respect, and it's Magnezone and Solgaleo. Solgaleo, I chose not to run it in the deck simply because then everything in the deck that's prominent is Fire Weak, but then again, it does have 250 HP, which is incredible because it's way better than Ultra Necrozma, but again, the Fire Weakness does stomp the deck, and it puts a lot more stress in your rare candy.
And that's why you chose to run the Metal Frying Pans?
Yeah, Metal Frying Pans, again, just for that Fire Weakness, it's amazing. If I'm running all Steel Pokemon, I have to run 4 of these, and that's kind of a dangerous point because we don't have the Choice Bands anymore. And then those easy knockouts on Rayquaza and Buzzwole that I was talking about, they're not so easy anymore. So.
Okay, so basically the only weakness that you really have in this deck is to fire.
Fire, yeah.
If you didn't have the Metal Frying Pans.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. These were just a recent addition. I actually just put those in about an hour ago.
All right. Hey, I appreciate you allowing me to video record your deck profile, man. Any other words, man? Because we're probably going to be doing more later, because I know you have more decks to go through.
I had a couple more interesting decks to throw your way.
All right, not a problem, not a problem. All right, well, this was Nightmare from Twisted Nightmare Gaming, and with Conan profiling his Metagross deck. You guys have a great rest of your day.